Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Whitetail Guy podcast. I am your host, Will Drahan. So good to have you listening today. As I always say, make sure you like, share, follow me on my other social media platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, The Whitetail Guy, and you're probably watching this on the YouTube channel, The Whitetail Guy. We appreciate you so very, very much. Well, it's August the 3rd. Some of us are getting prepared for our fall food plots. I want to talk about that today, fall food plots. I used to, years ago, I hunt in 5 or 6 different states, depending on the time of the year. This year, we're going to be in 5 states: Ohio, Illinois, Indiana, Missouri, Iowa, and my son will be in Kansas. I didn't draw a tag this year, so I won't be there. I used to do spring plots and then come back in August, mow them down, disc them under, and then do fall plots. And that very time consuming, as well as cost a lot of money to do all that running around, seed in the spring, seed in the fall. About 7, 8 years ago, I started converting most of my plots to clover and chicory, and I plant different varieties of white and different varieties of red, crimson, arrowleaf, medium red, then the whites, the Bershim, the Ladino, the Jumbo Ladino, the Alice white, the Dutch white. You had to kind of experiment and see which one your deer really like. But I like giving my deer variety. The more variety that you can provide on your property, whether you own it or lease it, the greater chance you're going to have them to reside on your property most of the time. There's a lot of other things that come into what makes your property more attractive, where deer want to call it home and reside most of their life on it. But this is one piece of the giant puzzle, and that is fall food plots. Now, if you're in the Midwest, the upper Midwest and the Northeast, it's kind of game time here because you have a shorter growing season. And you that are in the Mid-South, Deep South, you're about a month away. I'm going to share with you things that have worked for me. Now, I know there's a big push to have a bunch of different brassicas by the big buck on the bag seed companies. I'm not a giant brassica fan. In certain parts of the country, they work better than others. I've had many consultation clients and people that follow me and subscribe to me tell me that they have done brassicas in the times past, and either they didn't hit them or they did not get to them until January and February. While that provided some benefit for their deer herd, it was not very complimentary when they were trying to kill a deer. So I'm not a giant brassica fan. My favorite brassica is the Winfred brassica. The Winfred brassica, especially in the Midwest and Northeast, in 2 or 3 weeks, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 inches, and the deer are immediately on it. It's a very sweet brassica. It does not have a bulb, say like the turnip or the radish, and it handles browse pressure very well. In other words, it will regenerate after a deer comes and takes a couple of its leaves. That's one of my favorite, and I'm going to recommend that, especially if you're in the Midwest, upper Midwest, and Northeast. But that seed needs to go in the ground here in the next week to 10 days or so. I mix it with cereal rye. I like cereal rye. I don't have the big expensive equipment that you see the Horn Stars push on you, and you don't need that to have successful food plots. If you've got it like that, you've got money, hey, more power to you. But for me, ATV side-by-side attachments work perfectly for me. Or if I'm really way away from my home, then I will rent equipment at a rental center that's close by, and you can do that. I'm not a big fan of herbicides. Now, on new plots or plots that I've had a lot of problems in the past with weeds and grasses, then I will. Now, 41% glyphosate, I mix about anywhere from 3 to 6 ounces per gallon of water. Typically about 5 gallons per acre will provide adequate coverage. But I want to reiterate, I am not a giant herbicide guy. Even on my clover chicory plots, I try to maintain my weeds and grasses through timely mowing, especially right before rain, not when it's drought or when the clover is really suffering or struggling. That only hurts it. But we're not talking about clover and chicory plots today. We're talking about fall food plots. And you can throw in medium red clover. So let me tell you what I'm going to recommend to you to be your fall food plot strategy. I would definitely, if you like brassicas, then I would go with the Winford brassica. About 3 to 7 pounds to an acre, depending on your deer density. Then I would, at the same time, mix in 50 pounds of cereal rye. Will winter wheat be good? Yes, but only if you can really drill it. If you just broadcast it on top of the soil, the germination rate really falls. It's a larger seed. And, if you've got a good number of turkey, they will appreciate you baiting them because they'll go in there, man, and they'll demolish it. But cereal rye grows very quick as soon as it gets a little bit of moisture. So let's... And then you can mix some oats, you that are down south. I would drill them. If you can't drill them, then I'll tell you here in a little bit. You have to stay around for through the podcast, and I'll tell you how you can do that. So here's what I would do. If you got a new plot, brand new plot, you got a new lease, new property, I would go in there and mow it as low as possible. Mow it as low as possible, whether it's with a zero-turn mower, whether it's with a push mower, whether it's with a weed whacker, whether it's with a tractor and a brush hog. Mow it as low as possible. Then go in about a couple of days later, let it heal, recover, and start to try to regenerate itself, and spray 41% glyphosate. Like I said, 3 to 6 ounces per gallon of water, about 5 to 10 gallons. Again, I'm not there. If it's really bad, then you can go a little heavier. If it's not as bad, then you can go 5 gallons. You can go 10 gallons to an acre. But if it's real bad, about 5 gallons to an acre, or vice versa. Anyway, so after you do that, you mow it, you spray it. Now you can seed immediately if you want to. If you can seed immediately, glyphosate has no residual. In other words, it only kills and affects plants that are actively growing that's above the ground. It doesn't go into the ground and stay there for a while and kill anything that tries to germinate. Now, if you want to till, now the bad thing about tilling is every time you till, you're igniting new seeds, weed seeds that have been dormant for years. It's been documented that some weed seeds can live in the ground 20, 30, 40 years, but when it gets brought up to where it can get enough sunlight, then it will germinate. So I don't advocate tilling just for that simple fact. But if you feel like you have to, the grass is really thick, the weeds are really super thick, okay, then let's address that issue. Then I would go in there, mow it first, and then till it, okay? There's different processes here depending on what you're trying to do. So it's really thick, really bad, old pasture ground or something. It is really, really thick. So you want to mow it, you want to till it, come back in 2 weeks or so, then those weeds and stuff that start to germinate, then you can spray that 41% glyphosate on things that are trying, now that you've ignited some new weed seed and it's trying to come up, spray it. Then I would broadcast whatever you're going to plant, whether it's oats, winter wheat, cereal rye, brassicas, then you broadcast it. Like I said, 3 to 8 pounds of brassicas. I found that 5 pounds per acre is the sweet spot for brassicas. Cereal rye, or winter wheat at a minimum 50 pounds per acre. You can go as high as 75 pounds. If the soil hasn't been farmed, or if you haven't had time to do a soil test, then I would go in about 100 pounds of fertilizer, whether it's 12, 12, 12, 15, 15, 15, 17, 17, 17, whatever you can get, about 100 pounds per acre. So let's see, we have mowed, we have tilled or disked, we have come back 2 weeks later and we have sprayed glyphosate. And now we're going at the same time, we're going to broadcast our seed right on top of the ground, as well as the fertilizer. And then we're going to come back and, there's many different things that you can lay over a cultipacker. They have these ATV drags, which I really like because it just puts enough of soil on top of the ground for the seed, on top of the seed, to protect it from turkeys and give it a greater chance of germination. And then you're ready to go, man. You are ready to go. Now, for you that do not have a tiller or do not want to till, and the field's kind of bare, it's not as bad, but you do have some weeds and grasses, then what I would do is mow it, okay? And then I would come back, like I said, a week or two later and spray it. And then I would immediately broadcast my seed. Now remember, oats and wheat have a larger seed, so it's really imperative that seed gets into the soil, makes good soil contact, whereas cereal rye can set on top of the ground and give you a pretty good germination rate. Those are the things that I've done in the past. The thing about your fall food plots, I have destination food plots where I because of the access is so bad, but I can hunt off of that in the mornings or even slip in the afternoons. There's some food plots I don't even hunt on. It's just impossible. It's hard, very hard to get out, very hard to get in. So I call them destination food plots. But if you plan to hunt on this food plot, and here's the thing, you got to know predominantly your travel corridors in your property, and you've got to kind of know the different known bedding areas that your deer bed so that you can set your food plots up so they will utilize them and use them in the daytime where you'll be up in a tree stand. So there's a lot of strategy in putting food plots on your property. Also, you got to make sure you've got some great trees, unless you're going to hunt out of a tower blind or a ground blind. You've got to figure out, hey, on this food plot, whether it's an acre, half an acre, quarter acre, set up 2 different stands for different winds, on a southerly wind, on a northerly wind. Then you can best hunt that food plot. So you got to have trees around, or have a strategy where I'm going to hunt and the wind is going to be to my advantage whenever the deer come out and start using that food plot. But there is some strategy about putting your food plots. Now we can talk about kill plots. Why don't I do that? I got a few minutes here on the podcast. I love kill plots. Let's say you're in this situation and I've got some properties like this. I have ag all around me. It's all woods, but the landowner, where there's cleared out places, say with an old logging where they used to throw the logs on, and it's probably only maybe 5,000 square feet or 10,000 square feet or even less, but it gets pretty good sunlight, and without a lot of effort I can kind of clear that out, get some sunlight in there. And again, kill plots can be phenomenal if they're placed in the right places. Now, stay away from ryegrass. 50% of those throw and grow seed combinations that you see pushed upon the hunters, is 50% of it. Be a label reader. I tell my guys all the time, be a label reader. Read the label. Read what you're exactly putting down. Stay away from ryegrass, cereal rye, winter rye. Go to your local co-op. Or order online if you don't have a local co-op. But cereal rye is my favorite for several reasons. It's a strong attractant, very easy to grow, and it handles a great variety of different soil types. Cereal rye, if it gets wet in the back of your bed, your truck bed, it will germinate. It's that easy to grow. And like I said, 50, 75 pounds an acre, then you're going to have to go back to your math classes in college and high school and break it down how much I need. If it's a kill plot, if it's 10,000, 5,000 square feet, very important you know the square footage so you can put enough seed and not too much seed. Too much, is not, it's counterproductive because it'll choke itself out and it'll stunt its growth, and then, you've kind of wasted your time and your effort in trying to install a kill plot. Along with that, you can put some Winfred brassicas. You can. Winfred brassicas will grow in a little shaded, more shaded areas than other brassicas. But I'm telling you, cereal rye is the way to go. Now, you guys that are down south, if you're able to till up your kill plot, and winter oats or oats are phenomenal down south. They don't do as well in the Midwest and Northeast because our temperatures and the snow cover, it knocks it back, it goes dormant, and if you have a great deer population, they mow it down to the ground, and you're not going to see any result until spring. Well, that's great and fine. It's great for a spring food plot for the deer, but cereal rye is the way to go on these kill plots. Again, when you do a kill plot, you got to be cognizant of the fact that I think the deer are utilizing going through this travel corridor, and they're going to access this kill plot this way. I need to set my stand here on a south wind, over here on a north wind. I see guys, I've done a lot of land consultations across the United States, and stand placement is probably the weakest I see for my consultation clients because they set the stands too close up on the food plots, where immediately when a deer comes out to the food plot, they're in the line of focus or they're too close. I always like going 5, 7, 8 yards, maybe even 10 yards off of the food plot in the wood line to give me more cover, and I'm not in the line of focus of a deer that comes out and several deer. But man, a lot of guys just get busted all the time because they are right there sticking out like a red beacon light that says, hey, I'm up here in this tree. So tree stand strategy plays just as big a part in your food plot strategies. You've got to know where your deer are coming from. Now, we know these are wild animals and they can pop up from anywhere, but they have a prevalent entrance and exit from a food plot or an ag field. That's from trail camera placement, that's from tree stand observation and interpretation. So, right now, man, you need to put some seed in the ground in the next week to 10 days here in the upper Midwest, the Midwest, and the Northeast. It's go time now for you guys. You guys that are down south, you have about a month. You guys, your colder weather, don't really get that cold down there, say in Arkansas or Louisiana or Georgia or Mississippi or North Carolina or even Texas. I mean, it gets cold. I was born and raised in North Carolina. My first 17 years of my deer hunting life was in North Carolina. So it does get cold, but it don't get Midwest or Northeast cold. Also, let me say this. If you've got a plot that gets a lot of, if you're doing food plots, here's a great additive that you can throw in is medium red clover. If you have a kill plot that gets about 50, 60% of sunlight, throw in some medium red clover, about 5 pounds per acre. You can go 7 pounds an acre. Medium red clover, if it's planted now, will get up 5, 6, 7, 8 inches by the first week in October. We're trying to make the food plots really attractive. And the more variety you can have, medium red clover, cereal rye, Winfred brassicas, it's going to be dynamite because as we go into September and at least the first half of October, the does and the bucks, their attention is going to be on food. And if you have preferred food on your property, it's just going to increase your chances to be more successful as the deer season starts. And especially in the seek and chase phase, when those does come in and are visiting your food plots pretty consistent, those bucks are going to be right behind them in that seek and chase phase, trying to catch a scent of a doe that's pretty close to estrus. So fall plots are very important. Very important. Kill plots are very, very important. I appreciate you joining me today on the podcast. If you have any questions, you can always inbox me. Like I said, always like, share, comment. Follow me on other social media platforms. There's always different stuff that I post on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. As I always say, I'll be here next time you come back. I promise. Boo!